There we go. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Friday. It's Friday. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Let's see who we get in here. Let's see who we get in here. I know, I'm pretty sure my regular viewers and subscribers are all at work. But let's see who comes in from around the world or whatever. It's lovely. I start my gig. I'll be heading to my gig in about an hour. My power station is in the library charging right now. Sometimes depending on the day that I work, I'll leave it in there and go to my gig, uh, and then come back. So, like tomorrow, for example, I think the schedule is 11 to 4 or 11 to 5, something like that. But the library closes at 6, but I still will have enough time to get back. But I needed to charge it today. And I don't want to risk that because if I happen to get into a conversation tomorrow, what's up? What's up? Hey, girl. Hey, hey, Rhonda. Welcome. Happy Friday. If I get into a conversation, then I'll be SOL. So happy Friday. Happy Friday. I hope you had an amazing week. Um, I'm ready for the weekend. I feel really excited. I feel really excited. Uh, and it's a bunch of finances. It's just I'm happy that I changed my content and am introducing YouTube to like the real me. But I'm so excited. I'm I just I'm a nerd for real, for real. I'm a nerd. That's probably why I always express how much of an avid reader I am and have been since I was a little girl. But I'm a nerd. Like I love just reading and learning more and more and more about finances and the stock market and real estate and all of that. All of that. So, I'm really excited. And then it's the fall. Like the fall is really the September is really the beginning of the new year. Everything changes in September, and then you have a shorter time window to make progress, and people feel it. People feel September and then going to the end of the year. And I really think we need to put more focus on September because that's when everything really changes. Yes, I'm ready for the weekend. I know that's right. I have my gig all weekend, but I love it. I put my wrist weights on. I got some 2-pound wrist weights. I put my wrist weights on. Baby, I have my sign and I'll be out there waving and cheesing, and people be waving and cheesing back. I love it. People be honking their horn. I love it. I love it. It's, it's, yeah, I like it. And a couple of times I was on a different corner because a couple of people didn't show up. And it was quieter than my regular corner because my regular corner, I think there might be blind people in the area because the walk sign, it beeps and it talks and it's a constant beep and it's loud. And then some people come there and just like to press it. Wait, 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 wait. They just like to press that damn button. However, comma, at my corner, I'm not being trampled over by ants. Whereas the other corners that I've been at, they were quiet, but it was just smooth concrete, and the ants are just surrounding me. And here's what I noticed. Again, y'all know I'm super hyper observant. So I noticed, because I'm like, why are these ants just all around me? But I don't see them everywhere else. Well, I create shadow. So everywhere that I'm creating a shadow, the ants just come, because they're trying to escape the sun. So I'm like, no, no, I don't like this. I don't like this. Winter is that I, the only season that is split. I don't like winter. Um, yeah, I'm actually planning on, since I've altered altered my content. Um, I actually have something planned for productivity. I have something planned coming up at the beginning of the official winter for productivity. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, I don't like winter. Summer has always been my favorite season. Not spring, not fall, summer, because I like it hot. And this goes back to me being from St. Louis. I love the heat. I love humidity. I love it. So because as children, they always ask, "What's your favorite season?" Summer has always been my favorite season. I love it hot, hot. Even at 50 years of age, I still love it hot. I love the heat, but I only speak for me. So, but not talking about winter, but September, like even again, just thinking about life in September changes. Kids are going back to school. Everything changes in September. And this is when we really see real change. Even from the summer to the fall, the weather changes. Everything, it's a dramatic change. And internally, the body wants that change. Like people who don't like summer, they really look forward to fall. They enjoy the cooler weather. They get more active for them few months from fall to winter, from September to December. They get more active because it's cooler, even if it's just sitting out on their porch more or longer. So, um, yeah, I think more emphasis should be put on the change and and I don't want to use the word resolutions, but aspirations for goal setting should be done in September and for the end of the year, because the shorter your window for something, the more progress you're going to make. Like January, people make these New Year's resolutions, but they have all year to just renege on them. And usually that's what people do. Because who's inspired in January, February, March? Who's motivated? And then depending on where you live, places like Minnesota, where you have long, 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 dark winters, they have from December to June, for real, and it's just nobody's motivated or inspired. So, yeah, I have something planned for productivity. Yeah, I love summers. Yeah. That's also why, I won't live in a cold, cold place anymore. Because, yeah, I don't like winters. I don't like the gray. Um, I've been analyzing how I feel. Like, I don't like how much I don't like California. It really bothers me that I truly do not like California. I don't like that. Like, I really wanted to like this place, but I don't. I don't like anything about it, and I don't like that I don't like it. But what I've been really looking at internally, and another thing that I'm like, I don't think I like that either. But I want to get off this portion of the coast. Um, I've said this before. I don't think I've ever said it on my YouTube, but I absolutely refuse to learn Spanish. I came up with that when I was in Arizona. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to learn Spanish. I'm absolutely not going to learn Spanish because I'm sick of coming across people, Mexicans to be specific, who have been here for decades and have the luxury to pretend or to literally not know English. I don't like that. It's offensive to me. It is offensive to me. Although the United States of America has never chosen an official language. We don't have an official language. English is not our official language. Like if you look at some African countries, as far as like if you just Google some African countries, it'll say what their official language is. So America, the United States, has never chosen an official language, which makes sense because it was overtaken by European foreigners, illegal immigrants. So I get it. Okay, whatever. But I cannot go to a Spanish speaking country and not learn Spanish. I, I can't. I can't go to Mexico, to Spain, and actually live, conduct business, raise a family, be there for decades, and still say, I don't know Spanish. You have to speak to me in English. I don't know Spanish. Or open businesses in English and create menus and put the sign in English. I can't do that. They won't allow me to do that. I have to learn the language. And so I refuse to learn Spanish. I absolutely refuse. And I don't like being this close to the Mexican border. I thought there were becoming a lot of Mexicans in Minnesota, like that far north and even just in the middle of the country. And even there, like even in Minnesota, you have you have Mexican owned restaurants that everything is in Spanish. Minnesota is directly up under Canada. Directly, Minnesota borders with Canada. And so, I disapprove of that. And again, I've always called myself a rebel. So, yeah. But I don't like being this close to Mexico. And not only that, it's no secret that a large part of the going more southern in California uh, was Mexico. Like California stole a lot of Mexico from Mexico and put it into California. Like that's not a secret. We know that's not a secret. So um, a large portion of these places are Mexico, legit. Um, and that's great. That's fine. To each their own. But my own, I refuse to learn Spanish because you can be here and not know English or pretend you don't know English. Yeah, because I'm not going to go out of my way to speak to you in Spanish. I'm in the United States of America where I've been born for generations. Why the hell? And that's how I felt in seventh grade. In seventh grade was the first time I ever had Spanish in school. And after I think I faded out before we even learned numbers up to 10. I just wasn't interested. I was like, I don't need this. And that's what I said. And I dropped the class. I was like, I don't need this. I don't need this. And there wasn't even a lot of Mexicans in Minnesota at that time. This was in the mid 80s. Um, and even looking back, knowing how many Mexicans ended up coming to Minnesota, I don't feel any type of way about it. I don't feel any type of way about it. I don't need to know Spanish. You need to know English. And you need to speak English. What do they say? When in Rome, do as the Romans. You are in the United States of America. I don't give a damn that the United States never chose an official language. Everyone here speaks English. I'm not going out of my way to learn Spanish. Fucking for what? Because I don't need to talk to you about anything. I don't need to talk to you about anything. I'm not missing out on anything. I'm not missing out on any conversations. I don't give a damn what you're saying. I don't care what you're saying about me. I do not, Jimmy crack corn, baby. I don't care. I do not care what you're saying about me. So I'm not interested at all. But anyway, I kind of digress going off on a tangent a little bit. But, that's another thing because here, a lot of the Californians, a lot of the Black Californians that was born and raised here, they know Spanish, and they're very emotional, about it. And I just don't want to be around it. I don't want to be around it. When I was in Arizona, I got so sick of Black folks asking me about Mexican food. I'm like, I'm not Mexican. And why the hell would I want to be built like them? You see how them women are built? I come from what they've been eating. I don't want to eat that shit. I don't want no fucking enchilada. I don't want no mole. I don't want that shit. Why would I want to be built like that? Get out of here. You see how African women are built? I am African. That's what I eat. The fuck? Want no fucking chimichangas and enchiladas and I don't want that shit. That is not my food. Walk around here looking like a dirty sack of laundry. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Miss me with that and call me whatever you want. Call me whatever you want. You mean to tell me I just got so sick of them asking me about Mexican food. Look, I'm black. I am black of African descent. That's not my food. My ex-husband and I, he's Gambian. He's West African, okay? And he's a Mandinka tribe, but he's West African. And my brother was dating this Ethiopian woman. And they had invited us over for, I don't know what, maybe it was Valentine's Day, I don't know. But they had invited us over for, so we went to her place and she's Ethiopian. So of course, you know, she had cooked Ethiopian food, had anjada and all that. And it was good. Like I like Ethiopian food. And and Ethiopia is in East Africa. And so we ate it and it was fine. And I took some leftovers. And so the next day at home, I was heating it up and I asked my ex-husband if he wanted some. He was like, no, that's not my food. He said, that's not my food. Like, yeah, I'll eat it. You invite me over, but I'm not, that's not my food. I don't want that. And I feel I got it. Like I didn't even force the issue. I laughed and I understood exactly because what I cooked, because I cooked Gambian food in our home, and it just wasn't the same. But even if you look at the build and the structure of Ethiopians versus Gambians, right? Let's just keep it country for country. They're not even built the same. And then they're two different tribes, you know, and Mandinka is a very strong tribe. Even if the men or women are short, you know, or slender, they're very powerful. They are very, very powerful mentally and physically. So, but what they eat, you know, is just a lot more uh, substantial. I won't say more nutrient dense because Ethiopian food is very nutrient, you know, nutritious and nutritionally packed, but it's just lighter. You know, it's lighter food, and Gambians eat heavier food. You know, but it's also again two different parts of the continent. Um, Everything is different, but I totally got it when he was like, "That's not my food." No, I'm not gonna be at home and eat that. I'll eat that when I'm there, but you know, no, that's not mine. It's so funny because I was talking to one of my subscribers here, Anna. Y'all hear me speak about her all the time, but Anna, her and I was together one time, and she's from here. She's from California, and we had went to the butcher that I like to go to, which is a Mexican-owned market. And so we were looking around because she hadn't been in there, and they were new. So we were looking around, and she's looking at everything, and she likes Mexican food. And I was like, yeah, that's yeah, I don't eat that. And plus, I date African men, you know. And I was just like, yeah, no, I don't eat that. And I said to her, you know, I don't want to be built like the women. She cracked up. And she did one of my laughs. Even after we were done, we were walking to the parking lot. She thought about it again and she started laughing, but she stopped and laughed. I was like, that is totally what I do if something comes back to mind and I'm just too tickled. But yeah, she was too tickled by that. But she was like, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't want to be fucking built like them women because I don't date their men. So my men wouldn't find that attractive. My men would not find me attractive, okay, to look like that and to be built like that. So anyway, that's just one of the things I don't like that I don't like about California, if that makes sense. Like I really wanted to like it here, but I just don't. And it bothers me that I don't. That's weird. But I like to have things to look forward to, and I look forward to leaving. I look forward to getting the hell out of here. What's up, my Plantrian family? Good evening. Zimbabwe, Africa. Hey, I was just talking about Africa. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is Zimbabwe? I have never met anybody from Zimbabwe. I had a client, a beautiful client, who was from, she was from, it's in South Africa. Um, you come in here now, I can't even think of it. Tanzania. I had a client, she was my client from cosmetology school till like 2 years after I graduated. Yeah, she was from Tanzania. Beautiful. And she was the first and only person I ever met from Tanzania. Zen is good that you won't. I will believe. I'm not one of those Americans. I would believe. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I know Africa is beautiful. I know. I know the entire continent is beautiful. Even the villages, baby. I know that. I know that. I'm not that American. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Nope. I would believe it. I would believe it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe, you know what? You know what else I used to do before I go into that? But I used to watch the African movies, the Nigerian movies. Like I and I like both of them. Like I like the Nigerian movies that are more westernized, as far as the storylines, and then I like the ones that are based more in the village, that are more about that are more African, But I love the Nigerian movies. But one thing I like about that I would tell my American friends, like y'all need to watch some of these movies, is the ones that were more like Hollywood style. You could see this will give Americans the ability, the chance, the opportunity is the word I was looking for, to see the actual homes, the actual compounds, to see how they actually live, and to hear all this big money that they're talking about, and just to see life, you know. And I would tell all my American friends, like, y'all need to watch these movies. What do you don't know what you're missing out on, but they probably wouldn't believe it. But it's like, come on, this isn't anywhere in America. We don't have any structures built like that. None at all. Nowhere. Hollywood couldn't even mimic it. Hollywood could not even mimic a movie set in Africa that is in the homes and the compounds and the offices. I don't believe it. They couldn't mimic it. But I believe Zimbabwe is doing excellent. But I'll tell you something that you probably won't believe. You probably won't believe how many homeless people sleeping on the streets around me right now in Orange County, California. You probably won't believe how filthy the streets of Hollywood, California are. The Hollywood Walk of Fame, where all them stars are, you probably won't believe how many people poop and piss all over them stars and how many homeless people sleep all over them. You probably won't believe the levels of poverty in the United States of America within Americans. You probably won't believe that. You probably won't believe that so many rich people have adult children who are strung out on drugs. Baby, you probably won't believe how filthy America is. You probably won't believe that because they don't show that. They don't show that. You probably won't believe how many people are struggling driving in Teslas, Mercedes Benzes, BMWs. You probably won't believe how many people making six figures in this country living hand to mouth, baby. You probably won't believe that right here in this first world United States of America. You probably won't believe these first world problems, baby. You probably won't believe it. I believe it. What's up, Still I Ride? You right, indeed. Africa is beautiful. It sure is. It sure is. I know it is. I know it is. I love the cultured conversations. I love even if we're not talking about Africa or America, I love the depth of conversations. I love the intellectual conversations. I love, the thought provoking conversations that I have with African men that I date, especially in Cali. I also saw Oregon, in Portland. We thought America is a haven for everyone. It's a rest haven for hoes. You hear me? That's from a movie. You ain't no pimp. You a rest haven for hoes. It is a haven. It is a haven. It's a haven for excuses. It's a haven for deadbeats. It is a haven. It is a haven. Yeah. America, Americans, because it's not the foreigners. It's Americans, people who have been born here for generations. Okay, this is all we know. Americans, America makes it so that Americans have the luxury to do nothing and complain about it. America is a haven for Americans to to quote 50, to have the luxury to be depressed. And depression, the way I break it down for people, depression is allowing your mind to relive memories of experience that have already happened. You're robbing yourself from today's joy to think about some things that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when you were 9. And here you are 40. And you just have the luxury to not take control of your mind and live in yesteryear. That is a luxury that America allows Americans to have. America is a haven. It is indeed. It is indeed a haven. But the streets are not paved with gold. Depending on where you at, the streets might be paved with piss and feces. And that's no cap. But you have places in St. Paul, Minnesota that look like Skid Row in downtown California. Everywhere in this country, there is a portion of every state in this country that has areas of poverty and homelessness and drug addiction that you just wouldn't believe. And no one ever shows that, you know? I've been saying since I was a teenager. Y'all, y'all are so busy trying to hide what's in your backyard. You going to Africa and all these other places and help the children. Look, they're fine. And it's no shade. It's no shade. But your own backyard is full of mess. And you just trying to camouflage and hide that. And then people come here. And when they come, like my ex-husband, who is Gambian, when he came here, he landed in New York because, it's off the Atlantic Ocean. So typically when Africans come here, they will come and on the New York side, whereas Asians will come on this side, especially depending on how they come, because Asia is connected via the Pacific Ocean. But either way, I've had an elder Asian and my ex-husband and my African mother. All three of them tell me when they came here, they were shocked. They were shocked. My ex-husband was like, I thought everyone was rich, but I definitely thought all white people were rich. He said he had to call his mom when he landed and he see white people begging in the train station, in the subway station. He was like, am I in America? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Heterosexual white males are begging for money here in this country. And you know they say heterosexual white males like you're top tier. You're at the top of the food chain. Why in the fuck are you begging for money? Because you have the luxury to not do shit. You have the luxury to decide, okay, I want to just do drugs. I don't want the responsibility of anything. Luxury anywhere else. Only in the United States of America do you have the luxury to decide, I'm not going to do shit with my life, but beg. And so they do that. America is a haven for setting people up to say, oh, go and fight for your country, blah, 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 blah. And then the veterans, especially the older veterans who were really in war, okay? The veterans who were on the first line, the veterans who had brain matter splattered all over them from their brother, the veterans who were, you know, like I say, the older veterans that come home and the United States is just like, well, fuck you, thank you. We have nothing for you. We have nothing for you. No, we're not going to take care of you. Everything we told you was a goddamn lie. Yes, you went and got your leg blown off because we lied to you and you didn't know what the hell you were fighting for. But you know what? You served your country well, and now we have nothing for you. What? And you know what else we're going to do for you? We're disturbia, shell shock anymore. We're PTSD. And the same woman who had a hard labor, you know what? That was PTSD too. And you know what? We're going to give her more than we give you for your PTSD. Because your PTSD is actually shell shock and it's actually more traumatic and it will require more resources, which requires more money to fund those resources. So you know what? Everyone gets PTSD. Everyone just gets PTSD, and that way we can push the veterans who have real fucking shell shock to the back of the bus and say, you know what? This mother right here who had a hard labor, you know, she was in labor for 45 hours. That was rough on her mental state. We're going to push more resources towards her, you know. We're going to support her. But you hearing explosions all night, reliving this experience every time you close your eyes for the next 30 years. And then, God forbid, you wake up one night from one of these realistic nightmares and grab your shotgun because you're there living it again. Now we're going to penalize you because we didn't support you because, you know, your PTSD is not any more significant than this mother who had hard. What? What? Yes, this country is a haven. It is a haven. It's a haven for bullshit. But I'll say this on the flip side, where Americans, again, have the luxury to whine and complain and not do a goddamn thing, especially Black Americans, here's where we drop the ball. Because this truly is the land of the free and the home of the brave. If we would, instead of having that victim slave mentality, who have had it easy our whole lives, I'm a Gen X, I'm 50. I have not had to struggle. I have not had anything hard in my life. Now, I'm not talking about like on my last video that I shared. Make sure y'all watch that. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is even some of the stories of some of the billionaires that I watch, like IKEA, and even um, Gucci. These people were born into extreme poverty. I have not had to work since I was 3. I, 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 my life has not been hard in reality. In reality, my life has not been hard in America. It has been self-inflictedly hard. Like I go and watch my video that I posted yesterday. You'll understand exactly what I mean, and then watch the one that I did before that. But what I mean is, if we and as Black Americans really took from what foreigners do, whether they're Africans, Asians, the Filipinos, which even like South Americans that come here, everyone comes here and realize the benefits to being in this country. The milk and honey, like scripture says, we have allowed foreigners to invade our land and take over. And now we're living as second class citizens, but it's all because of our own laziness. And we refuse to work together. There is nothing that we cannot do in this country. Like I've said umpteen times, no one is going to stop us from registering businesses, but we don't. No one is going to stop from pooling our money together like every other foreigner that comes here does, because they understand the power of community and compounding. You know what I mean? 15 people's dollars can accumulate and compound a lot faster than one person accumulating $1 at a time. But we are too proud, and we'd rather argue over nothing than to work together for something. And what is the argue over nothing? Literally nothing. We have people who argue over their city, their state, their street. You don't own a damn thing in that city, state, or on that street. You own nothing. It wasn't even your choice to be born there. But you want to ride for it? Okay. So instead of arguing over nothing, how about we come together, pool our money, and buy that block? How about we start putting businesses in these cities that we want to claim so heavily? Because we're able to do that. No one is going to stop us from doing that. But this is truly the land of the free and the home of the brave. But, these new Black Americans, we think like slaves. We think like slaves. We want handouts. And then Trump gave out a bunch of money in 2020. Like that right there is proof that we don't deserve reparations. Because for one, we weren't enslaved. We were not enslaved. But we are the ones that allowed everything that our ancestors accumulated to be taken. We didn't fight for it. We didn't fight to defend it. When each whatever wasn't like taken and stolen, when the matriarch and the patriarch died, we fought over it and then sold it off for the money so that we can go and live like we had something. And then once it's gone, it's gone. We don't have the wherewithal to get it again. So we sold off grandma's house, great grandma's house. We sold the farm. We sold all these fucking things because we want to impress our poor neighbor that look like us, because we want to show off and show him that he ain't shit, but I'm something. So I genuinely, with the older I get and the more that I learn about the two different United States of America that I live in, like in my 30s, it was just on me to learn more about this country that I was born in and have been born in for generations. And I learned that we live in two different Americas. I learned more about um, the fight to take over this country and to take it from the Brits. And I'm grateful that I grew up in Minnesota at the time that it wasn't diverse, because they weren't teaching them white kids, about the slave Negro and things like that, because it didn't, like, they know about it, know that. They taught them about their own ancestors that go over, and they taught it from an aspect of entrepreneurship. And that's really exactly what it was. And this country was built on entrepreneurship and war, because every single one that decided they're going to stand up and fight against those Brits and to get them out of this fucking country and to get the country out of the hands of the Brits and the ownership of the Brits is because they wanted to implement their own ideas of business and infrastructure. That is entrepreneurship. And that is what this country was built on. And that is why our ancestors 100 years ago, 150, 180, 200 years ago, that is why when they got out of chains, that was the first thing that they did, work together to build businesses, to buy land, to build up ownership. Thanks for the chatting with you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Are you saying slavery was entrepreneurship? It depends on how you're looking at it and how you asking the question. I'm not a victim, and I don't have a victim mentality. So it depends on how you're looking at it. It depends on what you mean by that. But we also need to know that slavery has been around and everyone has had slaves. You have Africans who have had African slaves. You have Europeans who have had European slaves. What I'm saying is, I focused on my ancestors who were enslaved, and when they got out of chains, they worked together and built businesses. I've always, even from which I had to read because they didn't teach about them in school, but I've always been more interested in the enslaved people who, when they got out of those chains, they went and did something. They didn't piss and moan and whine and complain. They went and did something. Or those who fought and fought back. Because reparations is new. In the 1800s, when they got free from Juneteenth, they weren't talking about reparations. And we don't want to have these conversations. I bring this up all the time. From June 19th, 1865, 2 years after they had so-called ended slavery, but when the last few people found out that they were free, from then to the Tulsa, Oklahoma fires, which was in 1920, how much business and ownership did we had amassed? We never want to talk about that. We never want to talk about that. And these are Blacks who were actually crawling out of chains, who were actually born enslaved. And they weren't talking about reparations. They knew, okay, now I'm free. And even then they knew that the government is not going to stop me from building this business. And so they did. They did. They weren't talking about their reparations was now being out of chains and being able to open that business, being able to read in public without their life being on the line. So they read books. They opened businesses. They worked together. They built communities. They bought land. They built their home. You think the Oklahoma fires, you think they were just burning down one little small little Compton-sized neighborhood? No, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds even in the 1940s, there was a Black man who white folks had killed him and stole his 247 acres of land. One man. And this was in 1947. How the fuck did the family allow that? One man in 1947, he had owned 247 acres of land. You think that black man was given that land? You think he got that land from begging for reparations? Trump gave out thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2020. What did black Americans do with that money? What I'm saying is that was a good example of what we would do if we're just given money. But we don't want to have them conversations because we want to think like victims. We want to be victims. Trump gave out, and many black people, baby, got that money. I know black people right here in California that faked, which there was a lot of people who faked even getting a PPP loan. But people got a lot of money in 2020. We're just given a lot of money, thousands of dollars. And what did they do with it? We don't want to have these conversations, though. We don't want to have these conversations because where are the businesses? Where are the black people who were given all this money, these tens of thousands of dollars? Where's their business? Where's their business? They didn't where's their business? They didn't buy that dilapidated laundromat and fix it up. That's right there in their neighborhood. But you know what happened with all that money? Within black Americans, our spending increased. We are the highest consumers in this country. And we got the audacity to complain about reparations, and all we do is spend on liabilities. And the fact that we can't even agree on working together and pooling our money, and the fact that we can't even agree on the actual uh, noted, stated, Googleable facts, historical facts in the books from the timelines, June 19th, 1865 to 1920. What was it? March, July, June 1920. That short time frame, how much had our ancestors built up, man? They have built up in just under 70 years. They did that in less than 70 years. They built up all that in less than 70 years. Less than 70 years. And it's been 100 years since then. And what have we done? And like I say, that black man, that was 1947. I saw that story a couple years ago, and it was from 1947. How did the family allow him? We see it right now today. We see it right now today. We see black family because our men feel like, they don't want to have guns and they don't want to protect the family. And we don't teach our children, sons and daughters, how to shoot from 3, 4, and 5 years old because why? We want to live amongst the people that we know hate us without any defense. And so we see it come on social media. Oh, they're harassing us, our land. We bought this land. This is our land, blah, blah, blah. We have no fight in us. We have no stick together in us. We have no unity in us. So that's how we allow all this. Because we'd rather argue over reparations and what we're owed instead of fighting for what we want to acquire. So to answer your question, looking at it from the point of the purpose behind what their initiative was, yes, that was a move of entrepreneurship. Yes, absolutely it was. Because if you can, it increases your profit margins. If you can get free labor, it increases your profit margins. But again, some of them same people that survived and came out of that, built businesses that their offspring did nothing to protect, that their descendants did nothing to fight for, that their descendants just allowed to be taken away, that their descendants feel no anything about, we're going to rebuild what my great grandfather built up and sacrificed. We're going to rebuild what my great grandfather worked his ass off during a time that was much more dangerous than what we live in. We're going to rebuild that. No, we don't. We don't. The fact that we know it happened, we're like, oh, well, that happened. And so I don't want to do anything except for work for the people that did it because I don't want it to happen to me. But if they give us reparations, I'm just going to give it right back to them in their stores and buying the shit. I mean, let's be sensible. Let's be sensible about it. Let's be sensible about it. We wearing all these Europeans' names. We wearing all these motherfucking European brands. But we had black doctors' offices, black dentists' office. We had black infrastructure. And we don't have half, not even half. We don't even have 1/16 of that now. We don't have any of that now. We all would be hard pressed and then would have to go miles and miles and miles out of our way to find a black dentist with his own dental practice. All right. We'd have to go miles and miles. We can't just go to, like, there's Chinatown, there's Koreatown, there's all these different towns, but there's no area in every state in this country. There's no area where the whole area is black owned and operated. And it's only because of us. It's only because we haven't done it. No one's going to stop us from registering businesses and building businesses. If they weren't stopped from doing that in the 1800s and in the 1900s, we know for a fact no one's going to stop us in 2025. We know that. We know that for a fact. We know that for a fact. That's not debatable. That is not debatable. No one is stopping a black American from owning a business. That is not debatable. Because no one stopped black Americans from owning businesses in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. These are historical facts. This is not opinion. These are historical facts. And how in the hell can we not take strength and motivation from knowing what our ancestors did in 70 years? And here it's been 100 years and we still have not rebuilt what they've done. But we complain and talk about reparations. Trump gave away tens of thousands of dollars, and all we did is just went and spent it and then peed and shit it out. I personally don't think we deserve reparations until we learn, and not until, I don't think we ever deserve reparations because we live in America. We have the ability to work together to pool our money and build every fucking area we want. But we don't want to. We just want to be given money so we can go and buy a new car, but then not know how we're going to pay for the maintenance on the motherfucker. We just want to buy these purses and bags and bullshit, liabilities. Nobody took $10,000 and put it in the stock market that now would be growing. Nobody took all that money that they were given back in 2020 and did anything productive with it that has now grown and been an asset. Come on now. But this is how we need to think. And instead of hating this country that we live in and that we, let's be honest, we love this country, as we should. This is our country. This is all we know. This is all we know. It's been 10 years. I used to post on Facebook the whole Constitution. I'm like, look, you need to read the Constitution. You need to know your Bill of Rights. You need to know the country that you live in. And I think the fact that we don't know the details of how this country as a corporation was structured, for one, it's the United States of America, Inc., doing business as the United States of America. This is a business. This is a business. It is on the books with a DBA. Okay? It is a business. And there are two different United States of Americas that we live in, because you have the one party who was not going to allow the other party to take control over them, because they're like, look, I'm a free human being. No, you're not going to have control. But here's what we're going to do. You can take that and you run that. You run the federal government, and whoever you get to comply, you own them. Those who want to know and who read and who are intelligent enough to also be, and they can conduct their own. Hold on, my connection dropping. Let me read y'all comments. So sounds like you were saying desegregation was our downfall. Is that right? Wait a minute. Yes, their properties were destroyed. It was burned down, and the descendants. What have we done? Still, what that is a fact. That is a fact. But what have we done? That's exactly that right there. Still, Iraq is exactly my point. The fact that we know about that, the fact that we know that that happened, is what we use as a reason to say why we won't rebuild. I think that's pathetic. I think that is a victim mentality, you know, and that's just it. That's just it. The fact that we know about that, we didn't endure it. It didn't happen to us. But we won't even we won't even avenge our ancestors that it happened to. We don't even have it in us to say, you know what? You know what? I'm going to get this back for them. I'm going to get it back for them. They died. They fought and died to build it. I'm going to fight, and everybody's going to die. Like, nobody's getting off this ride alive. So death is inevitable. I'm going to fight to get it back in their name, in my family's name. But we're like, no, well, it happened to them, so we deserve to be paid for it so that we can use that money and just go and spend it on liabilities. How come no one is addressing this part of what I'm saying? How come no one is addressing that part of what I'm saying? Because yes, that is a historical fact. We know that. But what are we going to do with the money? What did we do with all the money that Trump gave us in 2020? How come no one is speaking on that? How come no one is addressing that? And I've spent my whole life standing alone in my convictions on anything. You know, I'm not the only Black person that feels this way. But I'm not the only Black that realizes how much of a victim mentality we've taken on as Black people. And it's a shame. We won't even avenge our ancestors that had all this taken from them and killed. We decide that we're going to just lay down. We decide that we're just going to lay down and not even put up a fight. We're not even going to put up a fight. We're just going to say, okay, massa, you won. And while I'm down here on the ground with my face in the dirt, I'm going to talk shit about you and blame you. While I'm down here on the ground and choosing not to get up and fight, I'm going to blame you for why I chose to lay down on the ground. Because of what I know you did to my ancestors. Because I know you did this to my ancestors, I'm going to choose to not even fight in their name. I'm going to whitewash the cloth that I was cut from and say, you know what? Yeah, my ancestors fought and died and built, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. You took this from them. You won't take it from me. You know why? Because I ain't even going to have it. Ha! Joke's on you, Jack. I ain't even going to have it for you to take it from. How about that? You took hundreds of acres of land from my ancestors. You know what? I'm not even going to own 1 acre. That'll show you. That'll show you. You burn down property and businesses. Guess what? I'm not ever going to own anything. That'll show you. I'm not ever going to invest. I'm not ever going to maximize my money. You know what? I'm not ever going to learn about finances. That'll show you. You did it to them. You won't do it to them. You won't do it to me. That'll teach you. That'll teach you who to play with. Take that. That's how we sound. But you know what? You owe me. You owe me for what you did to them. So I can just go and give it right back to you. You know what I mean? Like, let's just ring around the rosy. Let's just take the scenic route around me giving this money right back to you. How about that? You owe me for what you did to them. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out and buy your cars. I'm going to go out and buy your purses and your watches. I'm going to go out to your clubs and your night bars and your casinos. I'm going to give the money right back to you with interest. I'm going to pay taxes on all these things that I'm buying. And then when I'm broke in 18 months, it's going to be your fault again. Because, I just have that victim mentality. I'm not cut from the cloth that my ancestors were, who you actually had enslaved and who actually built up for their family. I'm not going to do that because you owe me. You owe me for what you did to them. But the fact that I'm so hurt by what you did to them, I refuse to own anything. I refuse to build. I refuse to work as a community with the people that look like me, because you won't take it from me, because I won't even have it for you to take. That's the mentality. That's the mentality, right? So, yeah, no, I don't get with that mentality. I don't support that mentality. I think it's a shame that we have not avenged our ancestors who fought and built and sacrificed so that us, their future generations, wouldn't have to endure what they endured. And then we don't even have it in us to defend their name and to defend their work and to work harder than they did, which would be easier for us now because we can accumulate, inflation to one end can work to our advantage because we can accumulate more in less amounts of time. Yes, things cost more, but we also can accumulate more. But we refuse to work together. We refuse to see how our reparations is the fact that we can read in public without our life being on the line. We refuse to see that our reparations is the fact that we now can own a business without the threat of it being burned down on the massive scale that it had been back then. Our reparations is the fact that we now can pool our money, work together openly. We don't have to have secret meetings. We don't have to go through back doors of places. We don't have to hide in speakeasies to put together a plan. But we refuse to use what we have to regain what our ancestors built. Like, they laid the foundation. They gave us the blueprint and we just said, fuck that. Fuck that. You won't do it to us. Like, how lame can we be? We have basic human rights. We have basic human rights. You have no idea what it could have been like to not be able to read in public. Like, do you realize that was something that our ancestors endured? They could not read. They were not allowed to read. We are allowed to read, and now we refuse to. What basic human rights do we not have? Do you live, are you renting, or do you own a home right now? Do you have running water? Are you able to do your laundry? Do you have clean clothes? Are you, in my lifetime, I've taken the city bus, and I could sit anywhere on that bus that I want to. I can walk down the street. What are we talking about? Basic human rights? No one owes you $1,000. No one owes you $100,000. What are we talking about? Basic human rights. You have your basic human rights. And if you bother to read the Bill of Rights, you would really understand what in the United States of America your rights are, which are completely 100% aligned with the laws in Scripture. Because your basic human rights you have from birth. No one stops you from enrolling your kids in whatever school. What are we talking about? Basic human rights. You can go out and buy a car. You can go out and buy groceries. You can walk into anywhere you want. You have the right to pay bills. We have this slave mentality that we need to get out of, and we've never been enslaved. You have never been enslaved. You have never been enslaved. You have never been enslaved. You may have had some prejudices against you. You have never been enslaved. You have never been whipped. You have never been chained. You have never had your life threatened for reading. Reading. You realize we were not allowed to read. You have never had your life threatened for reading. Your parents have never had their life threatened for teaching you to read. These are historical facts that y'all just completely overlook. These are historical facts that you overlook for menial things, all because you want to deny the fact that we refuse to work together to rebuild what was stolen from our ancestors who built it rightfully. We refuse to acknowledge the fact that our ancestors who rightfully built all they had, they built it off their own effort, not from reparations and handouts. We refuse to acknowledge that. They didn't. So you mean to tell me what they had stolen and burned down from them, you mean to tell me it was given to them? That was given to them. White folks gave them that. They gave them the money to get it. Is that what you're telling me? White folks gave them all that? We don't want to acknowledge that though. But I gotta go. This has been a very invigorating conversation. I'm with you, Ron. I'm with you on that. Not to live in. It's just financially, it's not worth it. I was just watching something last night. Multimillionaires, there are many smart multimillionaires who are renting because everything is overinflated. I'm with you 100% on that. Yes, but being free to ride a bus and sit where is not reparations. We don't deserve reparations for the slavery system. Now here we go. But again, let's just acknowledge the fact that everything that those Black Americans that were enslaved, everything that they built when they came out of slavery, it was not given to them. Can we just acknowledge that? Can we just acknowledge that, and I'll go? Can we acknowledge that everything that they built that was, yes, eventually burned down and stolen from them, but can we acknowledge that it was not given to them? Can we just acknowledge that the money that they accumulated to get it was not given to them? Can we acknowledge that? Oh, we can't? Okay. Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. We can't even acknowledge that they were not given anything. They worked for it. They worked together for it. We won't even acknowledge that they weren't given it. And we won't even pull strength from the fact that they were not given it. And they were the ones coming out of slavery. They were the ones coming out of fucking chains. They were the ones that had their fucking lives on the line for reading, not us. They gave us the blueprint, and now we just want to be given money that all we're going to do is give right back to the same motherfucking white folks. That's all we're going to do with it. That's all we're going to do with it. Trump gave out tens of thousands of dollars, and what did we do with it? Spent it on liabilities. So, yeah. Well, anyway, I got to go, y'all. Happy Friday. I did this live also because last Friday, those who are regular here know I do a Friday night live, and I wasn't able to do it last week, because the same as this week, I'm getting done with my gig at 6 p.m. So it's like 6:30 by the time I get back, and then by the time I get everything set up, it's like 7, which I have a lot of or a few Eastern time zoners, so it just gets later and later. But anyway, that's why I came live. But this was a really nice conversation, a really nice dialogue. I love all of the input, even, the differences in perspective. I'm used to it because a lot of Black people think that way. A lot of Black people are just like in the video I did yesterday. Like, my mom felt like she deserved handouts, felt like everyone should help her. She felt like everybody at church should help her. She put in very little effort for her own life. Whereas my aunt, who started my life raising me, my rich auntie, she worked hard. She made a choice for her life. She just had an abundance mindset. She did not think and knew that nothing was going to be given to her, and she worked for everything she had, and my life was very easy. I was spoiled rotten. I'd had everything I ever needed and wanted. When I got with my mom, who felt like she should be given handouts, she should be helped, everybody should help her, and people owe her things, and racism and this and that, my life was tough because she chose not to put in as much effort as she needed to, as much effort as the people who were actually enslaved. She chose not to put in as much effort as they put in. And that's the blueprint. If nothing else, they showed us that it takes effort. You have to put in your own effort. Our ancestors coming out of slavery, they told, the blueprint was, nobody's going to give you anything. Don't rely on these white folks to give you anything. And here we are, 2025, relying on white folks to give us everything. But our ancestors laid the blueprint to teach us, don't rely on them for anything. Do not rely on them. Do not trust them. Do not take anything from them. And all the fuck we talk about is gimme, gimme, gimme from white folks. We ignored the blueprint that they laid out for us, which is you got to get it yourself. God bless the child that's got its own. Y'all work together. Y'all unite. Y'all create a community, and you get it for yourself. They're not going to give you anything. And that is what they told us, and that is what they showed us. And now we want motherfucking reparations. I'm out, y'all. Have a good day.